Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those who are new, my name's Monica, and in today's video I want to talk about some amnesia romances. So don't mind my voice, I still have a cold and it's just going to be what it is. But I can talk better than I could a couple days ago. I took yesterday off from filming to give my voice a rest, which has helped. So the first romance that I want to talk about is called Shattered Secrets by Lillian Harris. So I should just give you the trigger warnings now. Stalking, domestic violence off page, violence on page, gaslighting, and infertility. Hudson and Hadley feel like they're soulmates. He is a lawyer for the mob. He had a very sketchy past that he's kept from her. So be aware that his past was fairly traumatic because he was in the foster care system and stuff happened. Anyway, she didn't know this and she didn't know that that wasn't his real name. At the start of the story, they're trying to get pregnant, and her backstory is that she had left her abusive ex-husband and he was her lawyer. And that's how they met and that's how they fell in love. And they always had this connection. Anyway, one day Hudson had to work late and she didn't know why. And he said, "I will be home soon." He never showed up. He just completely disappeared off the face of the earth. And she found out she was pregnant. 4 years go by and she's supported by his best friend who is in love with her, and everybody's telling her to move on because her husband is in fact dead, although she doesn't feel like he's dead. Well, he is found in a small town in South Carolina, and he has no memory of his life. His memory was completely wiped from head trauma. So we don't know exactly what happened. We learned that later on. He knows that he knows her. They still are very much attracted to each other, and she has to tell him, yes, he became a father, and they have to figure out how to go from there. And it was such a good romantic suspense with Amnesia, because yeah, he does work for the mob, so there is a mob element in this, because some of her husband's friends and some of her friends are actually in the mob, and she didn't actually know that until after he had disappeared. Their chemistry is undeniable. The story is well paced, well told, and I love how the amnesia trope was used in this, and I loved how we figured out who the bad people were, like who were the villains who did this to Hudson and Hadley, because it wasn't just Hudson. And I really, really enjoyed this. I gave it 5 stars. I highly recommend this, especially if you like amnesia romances. Another amnesia romance, and this is also Mafia, that really worked for me, and I read this in one setting, and I've talked about this before. It's called Scarred Vows by Victoria Page. This is arranged marriage, surprise baby breeding kink, and it has a 2-year time jump. So Natalia is our heroine and Lucas our hero, and they get married in an arranged marriage, and they're required to have a baby. However, she doesn't know this, so he's really trying to get her pregnant. And this is around the Costa Nostra mafia. So anyhow, the hero is a bit of a jerk in the beginning, but he really does start groveling, and I actually really like this. And then you have the 2-year time jump, because after she gives birth to their son, and then their house is attacked, and when their house is attacked, she is taken. Everybody thinks she's dead. 2 years later, come to find out she has no memory of what happened or who she was or is, and she's working in, like, I think a coffee shop in the middle of nowhere, and he just happened to find her, and it was really, really good. And when she was trying to move on, because there was a guy who was interested in her, and her husband found out, because at this point he would not go for anybody else, as did Hadley in Shattered Secrets, because they're like, no, I want my person. It was so entertaining. And it is a little unhinged because it's Mafia, but I really, really liked it. I liked the pacing. I liked the messiness of the story. Again, the amnesia trope is done perfectly well in this one, and I highly recommend this if you like these type of tropes. So one of the more iconic amnesia romances is actually in fan fiction, and that is Manacle by Sun Lee Yu, if I said her name correctly. I read this in January of 2022. I have thought about this book because it messed me up emotionally, because Hermione and Draco, and I don't really have to explain it to you at this point. I think everybody knows this, but Hermione doesn't have her memories, and Draco needs to get her memories back for the Dark Lord. But Draco also has secrets that he can't talk about, and their struggle, and it breaks my heart once we know why her memory was taken, and then when she got it back and she remembered everything. Oh my gosh, that was so well done. So the amnesia trope in Manacled is done beautifully, and it's basically Harry Potter meets Handmaid's Tale. I really don't feel like I need to go into big detail because I think everybody has read it at this point. The one part that really got me was the very ending. That ending with their daughter, that ending killed me. But the way the amnesia trope was used in this was done perfectly, and yes, I absolutely loved it. The next one I want to recommend is an Overboard retelling, and it's An Earl to Remember by Stacey Reid. I love Stacey Reid. Stacey Reid is fantastic. This one, the hero is part of the aristocracy. The heroine was his personal chef, and he fires her, and the hero ends up losing his memory, and she puts him to work. So that was the basic premise of Overboard that Stacey Reid translated into An Earl to Remember. See, I really liked this one because I liked how it softened the hero and made the heroine grow up and mature in a way that she probably wouldn't have before, because she was so busy trying to take care of herself and her sisters, which matures someone right away. But there's a lack of human connection in that type of maturity. Whereas with this one, she ended up having this romance with a guy, and she knew who he was, and she started feeling bad. And so the character development with the amnesia trope in this one was done so well. I highly recommend it, and it was very enjoyable. And the next one that I read this year was Forget Me Not by QB Tyler. I think a lot of people have read this. This has trigger warning for miscarriage and cheating. Bennett gets into an accident, and she is called there, and he doesn't remember that they are divorced or divorcing because he cheated. He's like, I would never cheat. And he doesn't know everything. And it forces them, it gives them a reset for them to put aside hurt feelings and to work through every messiness that is in their romance. Because it gave him really a second chance. He didn't have the self-loathing, she didn't have the hurt, and it made them both communicate what they couldn't communicate in the past, which was really important for their character and development individually and as a couple. So I really, really loved it. And so I would absolutely recommend that one. And the last one is To Help Me Remember. This is by Corinne Michaels, and this is book 1, I think, in her Rose Canon. Yeah, it's her Rose Canon series. And this one, oh my gosh. So Brielle wakes up in the hospital, and she can't remember the last 3 years of her life. Her brother had been killed, and she was a witness to it. What she doesn't remember was that she was in a relationship with her brother's, I think, his best friend, if I remember correctly. But because of the lack of memories, they can't prompt her because she was only witness to his murder. And so she has to come get these memories back organically and not have anything planted. So the best friend, Spencer, has to pretend that they were not in a relationship and that she's not the love of his life, and that he wasn't about to propose to her. And the trauma and the messiness that this went through was just so good, honestly. I feel like this book just did the amnesia trope really well. It gave both the couple and Brielle time to breathe as a couple, but also it raised the stakes on who killed her brother. And I just really liked it. I thought it was well done, and it was a great start to a solid series that I literally binged the series after this book. I highly recommend it if you're looking for another romantic suspense with the Amnesia trope. That's also Brother's Best Friend, which is not usually a thing for me. Anyway, those are my recommendations for the Amnesia trope. Let me know if you have any down below for me. And if you made it this far, please leave me a rose emoji since it's Rose Canyon. And until next time, my friends, happy reading. Bye.